not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And I ponder, in 2015, how can a black person, or how can just a large portion of black people, of our population, can afford to be ignorant? Now, I understand that, Americans in general can be imbecilic. I'm like, anybody who supported Sarah Palin and actually thought she would be a good candidate for presidency, I have to question your intelligence. But I'm talking about this sort of slew-footed ignorance that has been bestowed on a lot of black people, where they can't even function as a productive member in decent society. See, I read a lot of books on slavery, and slavery fascinates me. I do feel America is trying to make slavery just a footnote in American history, and you'll find more media on the actual Civil War, the Battle of the Gettysburg, more so than slavery. I'm like, we got all these movies and things of of the Wild West, old westerns. Matter of fact, in the 1950s, the majority of the top 10 shows on TV were western. But, we're going back into slavery. Blacks were kept ignorant. They were kept in the dark to rob them of humanity, or for the slave master to sleep well at night, or, or to make their case that these are not fully evolved human beings. And if a slave so happens to have some sort of intelligence, an ability to have a philosophical conversation with a white man, they will consider that threatening. In some cases, if a slave had some sort of talent, I'll take let's say Phyllis Wheatley. She was a slave girl born in Africa, and she came off that slave boat, but she was a magnificent poet. I'm like, she wrote poems that even rivaled those of educated, she was writing poems when she was a teenage girl, and that rivaled some of the best poets out there at the time. Now, I understand that Phyllis gets chided a lot because her poems are so pro-American, and she doesn't have much poems, or if any poems, talking about the horrors of slavery. I understand that. That's a whole nother discussion. But I'm talking about Phyllis Wheatley's wordplay, how she mastered the English dialect. I'm like, her poems, besides the fact that, they were so pro-American, pro-Christian, that, they were pretty mesmerizing. It was an accomplishment, for a female, or a young woman whose English wasn't even her native language, to be so good at it. So therefore, they looked at her as having some sort of value. Now, bear in mind, Phyllis Wheatley did have good slave masters, if there is such a thing. If a slave could, have a level of literacy, can draw, can paint, any sort of talent, it makes people, rethink, or have white people really go into deep evaluation on how intelligent blacks are. So therefore, they had to be kept stupid, almost like a domesticated animal, to justify their cruelty and their treatment, and this idea that, slavery is somewhat civilizing these savages, and that they're happy to be slaves. And that's the thing. So I fast forward things until now. And with the propaganda going on that black people are just largely lethargic, and what I'm saying, left on their own devices, they can't cope. I'm like, this is very disturbing, troubling. And I think about the propaganda with the IQ, the whole IQ thing, that they're saying the average black person has an IQ of 70 to 65. Bear in mind, 85 is considered average. 70 is considered borderline retardation. So I'm like, this is something to really think about. And so, I remember, back in the days, the 40s and the 50s, they felt that black people were just simply small-minded. That blacks were good at jobs. The good thing for blacks to be is to be bellboys and carpenters, porters, drivers, servants, handmaidens, things of that nature. But now that they're saying that black people are pretty much so stupid that they can't even cope with a menial job, that and to use certain things to justify their position is that they'll look at all the crime in the black neighborhood, the babies being born out of wedlock, how cantankerous black people act on in front of the camera when you see these daytime talk shows or world star hip hop. People that can't function in decent society the way black people somehow exploit and misuse government assistance programs and things of that nature. I'm like, this is what they're using as a crutch. And then they're saying that, okay, well, slavery's over. You have an ample opportunity to get an education. So, why is the dropout rate is so high? Why is things in the black community so discombobulated, disoriented, and so forth? And, going back into slavery, the abolitionists felt, well, at least the black ones, because I know there was probably a lot of white abolitionists that felt that slavery was such a cruel institution that no man should be a slave, but they also felt that white people and black people weren't equal. That's a whole nother discussion. But people like Frederick Douglass felt that if you gave these blacks a formal education, if you gave them opportunity, they will excel as well as a white person. That there's, that there's no difference in intelligence. You see what I mean? Now, I can understand that, over the years after slavery, white people, sort of sabotaged us, especially during our Reconstruction. We always had to deal with the ironclad fist of white supremacy. But we have to sit back and ask ourselves, still, how did some black people excel and others didn't? Even though when they was both subjugated to the horrors of slavery and oppression, Jim Crow, and things of that nature. How did we just get from, okay, we can be a sharecropper or work, a penny ante job and still be law-abiding citizens, to being like, being overabundant in the penal system. See, that's where I'm getting at. Back in the days, we fought for freedom, but now, of course, the white man, this mysterious, the white man devised a plan, or I wouldn't just say use a general term such as white man, but certain powers devised a plan to railroad black people into jail, and they was doing that way as soon as the plantations went down. The prison industrial complex was built. But now this plan worked too well, to the point where the prisons are overcrowded, to the point where they have to sometimes just let people go because they don't have enough beds for the inmates. and how some of these guys love running in and out of jail. You know what I'm saying? Jail is a revolving door. You know, they're so institutionalized. You know, they like that 3 hots and a cot. And then this whole thing, the going back into the slave breeding ground, where they just breed women with different men and things of that nature. And I think about the black men today having children by multiple women, and women having children with multiple men, and how this is not good for any community. And ultimately down the road it will lead to a lot of incest, because people don't know who they related to. Yeah, no, they don't know if this person's their cousin or this person is their half brother or half sister. No, because nobody's getting married. You know, that's the thing. So people are going to have you're going to keep the last names of their mothers. You know. But that's the crazy thing. And that it's funny that these, you know what I'm saying, black degenerates, and how they want to hijack black culture and say that what they're doing, this is black people, you know, and this is how black people are supposed to act. That if they, you know, listen to a black man speak cultured English, you know, they'll call him a house Negro or whatever. You're trying to talk white. You know, this is most disturbing. Especially when you look at the black people of yore that has mastered the English language, that was good orators, and so forth. You know, people like Malcolm X, people like you know, Louis Farrakhan, you know, Frederick Douglass, and then how this information is available now. That, you know, what is the excuse now? Now, I do understand that black people are victims, you know, by all definitions of the word victims, yeah, but you can't let your victimhood render you, you know, virtually useless. You know, and when I talk about, you know, being ignorant, I'm not talking about, I can understand that rappers, you know, and these actors just be stupid because, you know, overall, you know what I'm saying, they're trying to gain something, you know what I'm saying, revenue, you know, betraying a stereotype, and that's wrong. You know, but this sort of ignorance where they just want to be just dumb, stupid, shoot the place up, you know, not function, not want to get a job, you know. And the thing is, a lot of these blacks, you know what I'm saying, even that, you know, live in the ghetto or whatever, that they would agree that black people have been shorthanded. You know, they're not going to get a fair shake here in America. And knowing this should press you harder to go and get an education. It should actually make the family unit even tighter. You see what I mean? If you know that the odds are stacked up against you, you know, I'm like, you should, you know, try to master the English language. You know, because just like the days of slavery, even into now, that black people have to prove themselves to have some sort of intellectual merit. That we're not just some complete slewfoot and things of that nature. But that's all I want to say. I gotta keep my video short. Thanks for watching, and sally forth.